I'm on a transatlantic cruise from Barcelona to Florida, and we will have 4 days of ports before we have 8 full days at sea. So I'm curious, will I be bored? Will a hurricane chase us around? There has been one in the Atlantic recently. Will the seas be rough and everybody get seasick? What about the weather? How in the world did I pack for this? And I wonder about the food. Will they have the same menus over and over and over again? Will I get really tired of the food? There's a lot of things to find out. We'll see. Come along with me on this journey. We arrived in Barcelona a few days before our actual transatlantic journey was to begin. And I'm so glad we did, because we had a chance to get rid of some jet lag before we boarded and to see the beautiful city of Barcelona. Then it was boarding day. Day 1 was embarkation day, and we boarded the ship in time to go to the buffet for a little bit of lunch before our room was ready to check in. Then we spent some time relaxing in the room, unpacking, getting ready for the day until dinner time. Now at dinner time, we chose a fixed dining time. The table number and deck of the dining room is written on the SeaPass card. So we went through the dining room, found our table to be seated, and coming on the first day to that table gives you a chance to meet your wait staff for the week, and they get to know you, you get to know them. We booked a Central Park balcony on this cruise, and I will have a separate video all about that cabin review, how good it was to stay on the Central Park, especially for transatlantic. The first 4 days were ports back to back to back to back, and I will have separate videos about all of those ports, but I'll go ahead and do a little recap right now before we start our transatlantic. We went to Palma de Mallorca and saw the cathedral and palace and the Arab baths. Next stop was Alicante, where we took a tour on a tuk-tuk through the streets, saw the fountains, the bull sculpture, walked the palm-lined esplanade, saw sculptures near the port. Third stop, Cartagena, Spain, where we took an almost useless hop-on hop-off bus tour, and someone lost their head. And the last stop was Malaga, where we took a taxi tour, and I got to sit down with Pablo Picasso. First thing I want to talk about is the activities on board during the transatlantic. Our cruise director did an amazing job putting together the activities for this transatlantic. I assumed that it would be just the same thing every day, and in a way it kind of is, because you do develop a routine of the things you like to do. But this sailing had 3 guest lecturers, and I enjoy the guest lectures. We had one who is a relative of Don Knotts, Mr. Bill Knotts, who talked about Don Knotts in real life, as well as lots of clips from the different shows he has been on. This was an extremely enjoyable experience. There was also a NASA engineer doing talks as well. Everything from the Columbia orbiter tragedy to the Kennedy Space Center and so much more. He has lived through it, worked there, gave us good behind the scenes knowledge of what was going on and investigations that went on and just how things work. Very informative and enjoyable. There was also a third guest lecturer. He was a meteorologist, also very good, but a little bit more intellectual than I enjoy. I like to have more storytelling. He was a little more factual, very good, but I only really went to one of his lectures. I had lectured out enough during the morning as it was. They have a Catholic priest on board during the transatlantic who offered Mass every morning, and on Sunday morning he did a Catholic Mass and then an interdenominational faith service. There is a scheduled list of activities every day in the Cruise Compass. The Cruise Compass is the daily planner, and we can ask to have it delivered to your cabin every day or get it at guest services. But in that Cruise Compass, it lists all kinds of activities. I mean, look at this. On the back, it's so much that they had to just really cram it in, all the activities that are going on during the day. You can also find it in the app. And the app has a daily planner, and you can actually click on different things in the planner and it'll stick it in your personal daily calendar, so you can have a little schedule of events ready for you on your phone. But they do still give you the paper copy if you're not one that really wants to wag your phone around on the ship, so it's nice to have that to look at. The children have their own kids club and activities, and evidently they do a great job, because I have not seen kids just running around all over the ship. They have a whole section on board that the kids can go to with planned activities, and they have other planned activities in the calendar. They have some family karaoke, family games, so that way you don't feel like the kids are coming to all the things that are also for more primarily adults. Royal always does a family fun carnival during their sailings. This time on the Transatlantic sailing, we happen to be here at Halloween, so they've made it a Halloween themed family carnival, and people are dressing up, families are having costume contests. There are lots of little games set up that kids can participate in and get coupons and register for prizes. They're giving away free popcorn and cotton candy. It's a fun time for everybody in the afternoon. There are 3 swimming pools, a kids' water zone, 3 large water slides and hot tubs. When the weather's pretty, and it has been for almost all of this sailing, you can find all of the lounge chairs very popular out on the sun deck. And if you want quieter location, there is an adults only solarium that's also very popular with people. If you're not a sun worshiper and you'd rather be inside the ship, or if the weather's bad, they have lots going on inside too. Indoors you can find dance classes, meet and greets with the ship officers, art lecturers and seminars and auctions, trivia competitions, and lots of live music all around the ship. And for really active people, they have the Walk a Mile program, a sports court set up for different activities, with pickleball being very popular, of course, line dancing, the flow rider, water aerobics, pool volleyball, zip lining, ice skating, and laser tag. All of those things are included in the cruise fare. Every day they had one of the dining rooms open for playing cards and games. A few cards and games were put on a main table outside, but we found that a lot of people brought their own cards and dominoes and mahjong, and it was open every day from 9 to 3 for game players. And of course there's people watching, visiting with friends around the ship, talking, reading, and working from the ship. Let me take a moment to ask you, if you've not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. If you don't wish to subscribe, it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to, but if you would leave a comment or press that like button, all of those things really help to promote my channel and to make me want to continue to do this all the time. I find that most people develop a routine and kind of do the same thing every day, me included. So usually I would go for my morning coffee, then I would attend the morning lectures, find somewhere to go eat lunch, and that was always fun to just sort of decide, what do I want for lunch today? There were lots of options. In the afternoon I try to do some walking, something else active, and then get a little work done. And then in the evening it's dinner time, and we enjoy going to the dining room for dinner. Always there is a show in the evening, either in the main theater or on this ship, the Aqua Theater, or various venues playing music all around the ship. On this ship, they have the Broadway show Mamma Mia. No photos allowed, but I do have their little advertisement. So many things to do in the evening for entertainment. So if you can't find something to do on a Transatlantic, you're not really trying. And one of the best things to do is just relax. Enjoy the time away from the stresses of everyday life or from work. Read, take naps. Just do kind of what you want spontaneously. One thing I really like about transatlantic cruising is that you only have one long flight. We took the flight over to Barcelona, so we'd only had jet lag on the front end of the trip. On the way back, we always had time changes in small increments. So every day or so it would say, let's push the clock back an hour so you get an extra hour of sleep. I tried to make it a point to go to bed about an hour later than I would normally want to, so that I would not mess up my sleep patterns too much. Now, what about the weather? We had excellent weather. Now, we were supposed to take what they call the normal curve to go from Barcelona down to Florida, kind of a circular path, but there was some weather. So we did a little more southerly route below the Canary Islands and then down to Florida. So I think that may have really helped our weather to stay warm. But we had warm, beautiful days. Very little rain. Most of the time it was at night, if we had any at all. We could not have been more blessed with our weather. The problem is, I had expected to have some chilly weather in the Atlantic with all the wind, especially if we're going more north. So I packed a lot of long sleeves and layers, and it turned out that I mostly needed short sleeves and even shorts. They have a laundry special that they give out during the cruise where you put all you can in one bag of certain items. So I got to send a lot of that to the laundry for one low price. that helped out really well with our laundry. And I'll be taking home some clean long sleeve things because it is cold where I'm going back home. We never did run into any kind of hurricane or hurricane type activity. We did have winds up to 50 miles an hour one time, and our ship's stabilizers were working really well. There was a little bit of motion in the ocean, but it was nothing bad. Never saw the seasick bags come out like you do on some sailings. They did have to close some outdoor activities for one day because of those high winds, but it really did not affect much of our cruise, which it can, especially in October in the Atlantic. One complaint I sometimes hear is that people get tired of food on the ship, that they say they have the same thing every day. Well, I could make that same complaint at home. It seems like we pretty much eat the same thing all the time over and over too. But there are so many different venues. There's the buffet, there's the main dining room, there are different cafes all around, there's pizza, there's burgers and hot dogs. So you can use a variety and kind of rotate what you eat and not try to eat all of your favorites every day, and that will give you a better variety. The menus on this cruise changed every single day. I've been on a lot of Royal Caribbean cruises, and I pretty much know there's 7 usual menus for a 7-day cruise. And we did have those menus, but they also spread things out. Some things would repeat, but they had different menus, so we had a chance to order different items on the menu every night. For lunch, they always had the dining room open. So you could go to one of the dining rooms and have a sit-down lunch. They also had the dining room open for breakfast every day. You could either have an a la carte breakfast, or they had some buffet items in the dining room. This made a great venue. When you're on the ship for so many days in a row, everybody's on board for every meal. They do get crowded, and it's sometimes hard to find a place to eat if you're going to eat the meals at the normal popular hour. There's also complimentary continental breakfast. Royal Caribbean still does that as of this recording. So here's the big question. Would I recommend a transatlantic? We have done it now going both directions. We've gone from the United States to Europe, and we've gone from Europe to the United States. And I tell you, there are pros and cons about either one. I did love it. I love the relaxation time, those days at sea. The ports are very intense, either at the front end or the back end, depending on the itinerary you're going on. I kind of like the fact that you're going from Europe to Florida, just because you do port, and suddenly you're resting the rest of the time. Also, you only have the jet lag on the front end. You get a chance to get used to it before you get back home. That was nice too. The cons of doing it in October is the risk of bad weather and hurricane season and the ship really having a lot of motion. I enjoyed going a transatlantic the other direction, going from Florida to Europe, but the weather was chillier as we got to Europe in the spring than it was in the fall. We also had no weather issues on that ship as well. So transatlantic, yes, I would recommend it highly, unless you're a person that really does not want to be away from home very long or cannot be away from home very long. But if you have the time, it is a great thing to do. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.